All right. So I'm so excited today to have Ashley Young. She is a sobriety coach for mom. Welcome.
Hi, Christina. Thanks. Thanks for having
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, of course. It's the Millionaire Mom Method. I always love saying with these interviews that we focus on how to inspire others, teach others, and grow together. That is my big motto in life, that we rise together. I think we can all learn from each other, of course, and we can all share, things that we've learned along the way. And I think that's how we all can grow together. So that's always my goal. So, with that, I would love to hear kind of your story. If you feel like, as much as you want to share, if you would like to share, if there was a moment or a multitude of moments that really helped you realize this is something I need to share with the world, right? This is something I need to make a business out of. I need to help other people. If you can share with us a little bit about that, I would love to hear.
Absolutely. So I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. So
Amazing. Sure. Yeah, yeah.
I
Whatever
had
you're
I
comfortable
had
with.
about a 20-year drinking career, and
Gotcha.
I finally realized like this is a bit of a problem. So I tried a couple of different methods, managed to string together like 2 months of sobriety during the holidays. So
Oh, wow.
like this is
That was
amazing.
a challenge. Yeah.
Um, so then I tried to moderate, which led to a 12-day drinking binge. And
Oh,
I landed in the hospital with pancreatitis caused by
no,
alcohol use.
no. Oh my God, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, thank
Wow.
you. But that's what led me to sit here today. When I was
Yes,
in the hospital, I had the thought, I'm like, this is happening for me. And
yes.
it's my job to help other moms because on the outside, I looked like the American dream. I had a
Sure.
career, had a healthy marriage, beautiful house, healthy babies. I worked out 5 days a week, but like on the inside, I was held together by like duct tape. It was,
Wow.
yeah, I was empty. I was numb. Nothing felt enjoyable anymore. I was kind of having suicidal ideations. Like it was
Oh,
dark, it was deep, it was,
sure.
yeah. But when I was in the hospital, I told myself, I'm like, this is happening for me, and I'm going to help other moms so they don't have to feel this way.
I
So
love that.
thank you. Yeah. So that's what led me to sit
That's
here.
great.
I was 38. My kids were 7 and 5. So I'm
Oh
like,
my goodness. Oh,
yeah, it was pretty
I've
intense.
I have so many questions, right? I feel like,
Yeah.
what do you think it is about? Do you think it's midlife? Do you think it's being a mom, carrying it all? What do you think it was that felt so overwhelming or felt so underwhelming where you felt like you lost a part of you? Like, is it hard to pinpoint that, or, I think we've all felt that at some point. What was it for you, or could you pinpoint it?
Yeah, I think looking back on it, I definitely, the moment I found out I was pregnant, I was kind of like, oh my God, oh, what have I done? Because it's
Um,
like a moment of like,
Overwhelming.
yeah, it's overwhelming. You realize now, like, it's not just about you. You have this tiny human that you need to take care of. And
Mhm.
when she was born, we did not have that instant bond like you hear.
Oh, yeah,
And
sure, sure.
so, I was like, she had colic, she had acid reflux, like she didn't sleep. She's 10, she still doesn't sleep.
Oh my
So,
God. It's been a journey.
so right, exactly. So I'm
Yeah.
like, the only thing that gave me some type of enjoyment and something that I could relate to from my past life was alcohol. And
Wow.
so I started using that every night. I say this like I didn't have a drinking problem before I became pregnant. I'm pretty sure there were signs, but this is when I became more
Mm.
aware of it.
Yeah.
And we had our second like almost immediately following.
Mm.
So I had two under two, and
Uh, you
yeah,
don't need to say anything more.
you're a twin mom, right? So you get it. Like,
Yes. Oh my God.
yep. So again, it was like I just I felt so lost. Like I didn't know who I was. Like my identity had been stripped. And again, I leaned heavily on alcohol as a way to like give me enjoyment, as sad as it sounds.
Yeah.
Um, but then it really just became like oh, you're sad, have a drink. Oh, you're happy? Have a drink.
Right.
Oh, it's 75 and sunny, like in
Yeah.
April, have a drink. Like it was like
This
there was
excuse for everything.
yeah, there was always
Or
a reason.
justification.
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
And not to harp on too much, but I think we don't talk about it enough. What do you feel like it was in the process? So you had two under two. Did you feel like it was because maybe the mom is the default, you were carrying most of the child's care responsibilities as well as trying to work, right, like in household stuff? Like, was it overwhelmed because you lost yourself because you were doing all these other things? Not to put words in your mouth, like, you tell me, what do you feel like it was that made you kind of feel like you, because you're not alone. I think so many moms feel this, and I don't think we talk about it enough, that motherhood should be this glossy, gorgeous, amazing time. But if you're carrying all this other stuff, like, it's not always, and I think it's hard.
Agreed, agreed. I always say like motherhood is that only job on the planet where you're expected to love it every single
Yep.
day, every single
Yep.
moment. And it
Yes.
is it is
And
not
you
for the
don't.
heart.
I don't. I
No,
don't. Yes.
no. There are
Yes.
moments every day when I'm like, what
Yeah.
is going on?
Yeah. Can I send you to the HR department? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So I definitely think for me, it was that lack of enjoyment, right? Because you have a
Go,
newborn,
go.
yeah, you
Surviving.
have a toddler, so it's like you're trying to like stay on top of housework, you're trying to stay connected with your husband, you're trying to take care of these two tiny beans, like,
Where's
and
you?
yeah, and then when you go back to work, it's like, especially if you don't love your job,
Yeah.
it was like, well, let's go to work. So everything just seemed like it was depleting and it wasn't actually like,
Joyless.
yeah, it absolutely joyless, 100%. Yeah,
Gotcha. And so for you, you really felt like alcohol gave you just an itty bitty bit of joy. And
it
then,
it did. And the problem was that because alcohol is a substance, it creates this elevated boost of dopamine and serotonin.
uh,
So it eventually starts to skew your dopamine,
uh,
like, um,
appreciation
yeah,
or
your dopamine
threshold or
line. Yeah. And so things that used to
interesting.
cause you joy no
Wasn't
longer
enough.
wasn't enough. Exactly. So it starts to like skew. And that's why when people quit drinking, they have a really hard time. They feel like it's very boring. I did a podcast episode on this, and it's because you're used to these elevated levels of dopamine and serotonin. And so when you quit drinking, nothing you do reaches that level. But you eventually recalibrate and you eventually get back down to your normal dopamine levels. So, in a roundabout way, to answer your question, yes, it was giving me not only dopamine, but it was giving me elevated dopamine hits that nothing natural could even come close to touching.
Fascinating. That makes so much sense, right?
Mhm.
And it makes the perfect, substance to help you feel something because you felt like you weren't, I'm sure, feeling what you're supposed to feel
Right, right,
or
exactly.
whatever. Ugh.
Yep.
So share with us a little how you help moms and how people can get in touch with you.
Okay. So I help moms because I've created a method that I wish I had when I was quitting
Mm,
drinking.
yes.
Because when I was quitting drinking, I kept feeling something's wrong. Like, what is wrong with
Yeah.
me? Why can't I quit? Like all these other moms, they're like, oh, Johnny Jr. is my why. And I just stopped drinking. And I'm like, I can't tell you why I'm drinking. I'm like, what is wrong with me? You know?
Yep.
I'm like,
Yes.
I always joke, I'm like, okay, when my 2-year-old was having a tantrum because she didn't want to take a bath, that wasn't the time to like whip out my journal and focus on my why. Like, oh,
Of
hang on, honey.
course. Yeah.
My
No.
go-to was like reach for that drink because
Yeah.
like need to get her
It's gonna
butt.
go down. Yeah.
Yep. So, what I do is I help moms get out of survival mode first
Mm,
because all of these tools, while they're great, if you're stuck in fight or flight, nothing's going to land. Nothing's going to stick.
mm,
It's going to feel extremely difficult because
mhm.
your mind and your nervous system are completely like off the rails. And that's just kind of like the foundation is we focus on sleep, we regulate hormones, we focus on nutrition so
Yeah.
that you can manage cravings. Because, spoiler alert, if you don't address the root cause, you're going to transfer that alcohol,
Mm,
quote, addiction to something else. So
yes.
I transferred to
Love it.
sugar and
Oh,
gained 50 pounds. So let me
oh my
help you
gosh.
not do that.
Yes. Oh, I could see that could be so easy, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because
So
you
you
still
just,
needed,
because it's like, well, I'm not drinking, but I'm getting
right,
type 2 diabetes. Like, what's the difference?
right, right.
Um,
You
yeah.
needed something to help with
Yes.
your joy
Yes.
or whatever fulfillment.
Exactly. To fill that void. So then the second step is then we work on rewiring our habits because we're at
Mm,
a calm state, we're more like homeostasis, so it's easier for us to make those changes and to be able to see like how you feel when you do X, Y, and Z. And then the third step, this is the one that I absolutely love the most because I feel like most programs don't address this. It's rebuilding your identity. So, who are you once you quit drinking? Because I
mm,
felt like I lost my identity when I became a mom, but then I
yeah,
felt like I lost it a second time when I quit drinking, right? Like the,
fascinating.
yeah, I was the fun mom. I would bring like
Sure.
white trash margaritas to the lake and like we all start day drinking and like it was a great time. But now who is Ashley? We build healthy boundaries. I have a relationship coach where she helps people who maybe are struggling because their partner doesn't or doesn't support their sober journey or says I'm still going to drink. So it's definitely a well-rounded program.
Love
And
it.
yeah, in order to help women join this program, I've created a 4-week free challenge. So it's
Love
kind
it.
of like a trial, like a try
Yeah.
before buy, so
Love it.
that women can go through these 4 weeks, see what I'm about, see what my approach is, and then at the end of those 4 weeks, they can decide if they want to continue working with me or if they feel like they kind of have the basis that they're good to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Love
what
that.
I've built. Yeah.
Amazing. And we'll include some links below for everyone to click and get in your world. And I know, just from chatting with you several times now, I know that you come from a place of zero judgment, right? It is not about everybody has a drinking problem and needs to quit,
Mm-mm.
but you have found there is definitely a point where it's maybe a problem or it's getting to be a problem. How does somebody kind of figure out where they are with that?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that caught my attention was when I was working with a registered dietitian and she was questioning my drinking, not from a judgment standpoint,
Hmm.
but from like, this is empty
Health.
calories. Yeah.
Right, right.
Um, and one of the red flags was that I would swap out food calories for alcohol calories. So
Oh,
and that was she kind of opened my eyes to that. And
yeah.
then once I tried quitting and realized it was a lot harder than I thought, because what really
Mm.
happened was I started using alcohol as like a self-care routine.
Sure. Yeah. It's all over the internet, right? Have a glass of wine, relax.
Yeah, yeah, watch TV, drink your wine, like
Yeah.
um but what I didn't realize was that was slowly turning into a habit.
Yeah.
And that habit was very hard to break.
Yeah.
So I think it's just you get to a point where you almost have like an epiphany and you're like, this is not serving me. And that's not to say you're going to be super excited to become sober.
Sure. Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Hence the need for
exactly. Like you do
support.
feel like you're going to cut off your right arm because it's
Sure.
something that you've become accustomed to. I mean, there was definitely a grieving process when I quit drinking, but I think it's really becoming more mindful. And I think once you know the statistics, like I forget who, I think it's the World Health Organization, like 3 drinks a week is like 20% increase of like getting breast cancer or some ridiculous stat like that. Like,
Really?
yeah. And so
Wow.
if you read some of these not symptoms, but some of these what's the word I'm looking for?
Statistics? No.
It's like on the DSM-5, some of these, like if you
Mm.
do X, like if
Oh,
you drink more than like 3 times a week, like you get, it's like a scale. And like
interesting.
if you answer yes to two of those, it's like you're automatically in like a, you may have a problem. So that all of this to
Interesting.
say, like when you become more aware of the statistics around alcohol and start to see like what's normal compared to
Hmm.
your behavior is, and then you're like, oh, it may be all of my girlfriends drink four or
Yep.
five nights a week, but that's not healthy and that's not the way it should be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. I love that. And yes, so I know you always come from a place of zero judgment, right? If someone wanted to get in touch with you, obviously it is a judgment-free zone. I don't know if you want to speak to anything along those lines.
Yeah, absolutely. So I encourage people to reach out to me. I love DMs. And something that I don't feel needs to be said, but I'm going to say it anyway. Everything's in confidence. Like
Yes.
when people come to me, and I had one woman tell me, like, she hasn't told a soul
Oh
about
my
her
gosh.
drinking and how she's
Sure.
concerned. And
Yes.
I don't take that lightly. And
Yes.
so it's very much like, what happens in the DMs stays in the DMs.
I love
Like,
that.
and
Yes.
I mean, I made some terrible decisions when I was drinking. So, you
Sure.
know, where none of us are,
Perfect.
yeah,
Yes.
perfect. And it's, I think what matters more is that you're aware and you know this is not what you want to be. And
Yes.
so the version I was like 4 or 5 years ago is so different from the version that I am now. And so I just hope that by being open, being vulnerable, sharing my story, I do that so these women who come to me don't have to. Like,
I
they
love
don't
it.
have to be the ones
To figure
saying,
it out.
right, and they
Yes.
don't have to figure it out. They don't have to raise their hand even and say, I have a drinking problem. Like, that's what I'm
Yes.
doing. Like,
I love it.
I'm
Yes.
paving the way so that they can, follow me.
Reap the
And
benefits
yeah,
without having to take a
benefits.
bigger risk. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So
I
follow my
love that.
lead. I'm doing
Yes.
I'm doing all the upfront talking. So
Yeah. So you don't have to. I love that.
exactly.
And so tell us, I think you've shared several lessons, but is there any kind of big lesson that you feel like you have learned through your journey that has helped you through life, whether that is a little piece of the mindset or I mean, obviously, some of the statistics with alcohol, but what's been a big lesson for you that you think has really helped or just helped you either be a better mom or a better person?
Yeah. So someone told me the other day that there's a reason why it's called spirits, and that's because the devil comes out of you. And
Oh, interesting.
I reflect on where I was, like at the height of my drinking.
Hmm.
I had terrible thoughts all the time, and like was constantly thinking about drinking and looking forward to drinking and just like, woe is me, this life is terrible, why did I do this, yada yada yada. And it doesn't completely go away once you quit drinking, but once you keep going and you start doing some of that deeper work, that noise quiets down. Like, I
Hmm.
no longer have any of those like negative thoughts to that extreme.
Sure.
So
And you
it's
can
like,
recognize them, I'm assuming.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And just like with that dopamine, it's like alcohol elevates like your
Mm.
depression. So like you're more
Sure.
depressed and you're more anxious. And so you're just not at your best. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that would be my takeaway is like once you take away the alcohol, if you will over time see those changes. And it's
Yes.
definitely worth it.
I love that. I recently heard that just reminded me of was it you who shared a Miley Cyrus quote? I think it was another one of my friends who shared a Miley Cyrus quote that she said she wants to be 100%, 100% of the time, right? And something about like mind altering, whatever that looks like, substances, you're not that we're all 100%, but you know what I mean? You have a better chance of making good decisions, having positive thoughts, being your best self essentially when you're not inhibiting, your capabilities.
Absolutely. And once you become like once you find more natural ways to care for yourself, like I'm not saying you have to like be all kumbaya and hug trees and stuff, but
Right.
you
Yeah,
find other ways to care for yourself.
of course.
And I've gotten to the point now where the thought of having a drink, oh, I can taste it and I'm like
Yeah.
I instantly get dry mouth and I'm like
Yes.
if I were to have something, it's gonna prevent me from waking up tomorrow morning and doing my workout and taking care of myself first. So
Yes. I love that. We're reading, have you read Atomic Habits or are you reading it with us right now?
I'm reading it
Yes.
with you.
Have you
Hmm.
gotten to the part where he said something like the result has to be more painful, or the result of doing the bad habit has to be more painful than the result of doing the good habit for you to stop kind of the bad habit. Anyway, right? It's got to be a
Yeah,
point
yeah.
where, right, where like
Hmm.
not doing it is I'm sorry, doing it is more painful than not doing it.
Hmm.
Otherwise, if it's easier and feels better to do it, you're probably going to do it. So
Yeah,
focusing
absolutely.
on, yeah,
Yeah.
all
And
those
I
things.
love that he's talking a lot about behaviors because
Yeah,
that's typically what it is. It's you've
yeah,
gotten into this
habit.
habit and we're like Pavlov's dogs and it's
Yep,
like it's
feels
5 o'clock.
good.
Yeah, it feels good. Let's do it again. It's 5 o'clock, time to go get a drink. And like you
Yes,
just get into autopilot and you don't even think about what you're doing and you don't
yes,
realize what you're doing.
right.
Um, so I love his ideas of just like making changes, like small changes.
Yes,
Doesn't
and
have to
being
be,
aware. Yeah.
yeah. And it's one of the things I feel also when women are trying to quit drinking, every program I've done is like all or nothing. And it
Um,
keeps you in this like deprivation mode. And as soon as you have one drink, it's like, gotta start over again. And so you're constantly
right.
feeling like you're not making any progress.
Defeated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
defeated. So I encourage small changes. When I quit drinking, my general practitioner told me if drinking non-alcoholic beverages is a placebo for you, it's a real thing, do it. And
Oh,
so that's what I leaned heavily on. Like, I know there are a lot of people out there that are like, oh, non-alcoholic, like that's just a crutch, yada, yada. Yeah, but
sometimes you need a little.
sometimes you need a little support to get through.
Yes.
And yeah, so.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And so what is your hope? I think I can probably guess, but you have young kids. What is your
Mhm.
hope for the future, right? And do you incorporate your kids in any of this journey? I'm sure that's kind of hard. They're little, but
Mhm.
just being a business owner, how do you incorporate your kids in kind of what you're doing, and what is your hope that they will take from this in the future?
Yeah, so it's funny. They're now 10 and 8, and so they are aware my brand is Fizzy and Free.
I love
And
that.
yes, thank you. Celsius just came out with some type of line, and my oldest daughter Fiona was like, "Mom, they're copywriting, blah blah blah," because
Oh,
it's called Fizz Free because it's carbon
ah,
doesn't have the
there's
bubbles.
no carbonated.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
funny.
yeah, they keep asking me when I'm gonna have merch, like, and if they can
Ah,
subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm like, not yet.
no. Oh,
But
that's so cute. They're
yeah,
aware of this
they're
brand and
they're aware
business.
and they, if I'm having an NA drink, they'll be like, "Mom, I thought you don't drink, blah blah blah." Like, okay, mom, it's NA. So
Oh,
they're
good.
they're aware.
Aware.
They don't know the extent yet, I'll share
Sure.
that with
Sure.
them eventually.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah. Yeah.
think for me, what I've really enjoyed about this process is like leveling up. And
Mm.
so because I don't drink anymore, and because I've become more open-minded, I'm learning new things like energetics and like quantum physics and like reading books like Atomic Habits and just like being
Yes.
more mindful of like the possibilities. And that's what I want to pass down to my kids is like if you're not enjoying something, like don't try and numb it. Like just try and make it better. So yeah,
I love
that would
that.
be that would be my advice. Hmm.
I love that. And I think that's so true. Once you I always say, to be a forever student, we kind of go through this stage in our life as adults where we're like, okay, my education is done,
Hmm.
right? Like I'm done learning. But really, once you open your mind up to wanting to learn or being curious, I mean, there's so much. None of us know everything, right? There's so
Hmm.
much to learn out there. And I really think that's how we, like you said, level up and how we get to be our better selves, our best selves, right? Is to
Hmm.
really keep learning and keep being curious and striving, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really part of life.
Absolutely. And I just encourage anybody who's listening to this, who's questioning their, drinking behavior, like reach out. I'm always happy. I'm always open for a chat because when I was struggling, I felt so alone. Like I was on an island by myself. So just reach out. I
I
would
love that.
appreciate
And I
that.
know, right, that it's a safe space that you create for everyone. And like you said, everything's confidential. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us today?
No, I don't think so. Oh, I do have a Facebook group. I have a free
Amazing.
Facebook group. We can put that link in the notes too.
Okay.
It's just a place for women who are questioning their drinking, know they need to quit drinking, where we all share actually our struggles, our wins. We
Love it.
share our, vacation trip tips and all sorts of stuff. So yeah,
I love
I would.
that. I love that you recently shared because that's so true. If you're on vacation, I'm sure that's a trigger, right? Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I'm on vacation. I should enjoy myself or whatever.
Hmm.
And you recently shared that, you went on vacation and you
Yep.
didn't have a drink, and I'm sure that was something you had to be conscious of, right?
Yeah, yeah. Especially the first few times, but after a while it's like, oh, that wasn't even really a thing. And then you
Yeah,
like are surprised. You're like, I did
right,
that thing. Like that wasn't even a
right.
thing. So,
Amazing, amazing.
yeah,
It's now a habit is the other way, right? You've created
exactly.
a habit that
Exactly.
you don't even think of it. I love
Hmm.
it.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for chatting today. I loved talking about this. I think this is such an important mission because I do think recently just heard this too that I think it might have been in the Atomic Habits where he was saying that like even Thursday night TV or something
Yes, I
was
just listened to
advertised,
that. Hmm.
right? And it was advertised as like grab your wine and your popcorn or something like that because
Hmm.
they wanted to make it for women. And I'm like, it is
Yeah.
everywhere that
Yeah.
oh, you're drinking antioxidants, or right, this is how you keep your
Hmm.
brain healthy and like all this stuff.
Yep.
There
Yep.
might be some small benefits, but boy, I think there's a lot of not so great benefits from.
The biggest BS flag I have thrown is when Yellowtail, the wine company, did an ad during football season where it was football players in a locker room and they opened this locker and out extends this giant table with like all these wine glasses and like they're all drinking Yellowtail like Chardonnay. I'm like,
That's never happening.
I know. That's never happening and I see what you're doing there. So,
Right. You're
yeah.
making it okay for big men to have yellowtail
Yep.
or whatever it
Yep.
is.
And I'm like, what
Fascinating.
man is going to drink Yellowtail? I mean, no, if anybody's listening and I apologize, but
Yeah,
it's like,
no. Yeah, and then
it's
the
like,
women are probably like, "Oh, let's do that. He's okay with
yep.
that."
Yeah. But I will say this last season, I saw quite a few NA beer commercials.
Oh, interesting. So it's
Yeah,
becoming more prevalent. People
it
want to
is.
enjoy and not have
There's
to
more
worry about it.
mocktail menus, there's more NA beers available. So, yeah,
I love that. I think people are discovering, I know for myself, like I just don't feel good, right, afterwards. And so I think a lot of people are deciding that it's not worth it.
exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for chatting today.
Thank you,
And
Kristina.
I'm excited to be in your world and to see all the women that you're going to help. So thanks for being on your important